Well, hello and welcome back to the Pat Podcast, Episode 6. A little bit delayed, but not forgotten. They always say the worst thing you can do in a podcast or any type of entertainment medium is begin with why you couldn't do a past podcast or anything like that, or in this case, a past Pat podcast. But I mean, I feel that why not, right? Because it meant that I was doing stuff, which is what people listen to podcasts to hear about, is other people doing things. There's a lot of changes going on, good changes, positive changes, except for YouTube, but we'll get to that later. I was able to move in some equipment into my home office so that I can work a little bit easier. You'll notice that I'm now at a newer angle here, unless you're listening to the audio podcast, in which case you don't care. But for me, it's very exciting news, and it helps me out, structurally, if that makes any sense. So the thing I wanted to address right away, and I feel it's the thing everyone's going to be talking about, so I might as well throw in my 2 cents because why not? This newest update to the YouTube monetization discussion has gotten insanely. This new step that YouTube is taking to protect the creators, whatever, I feel has a lot of ups and downs to it, but I'm not here to kiss YouTube's butt. I'm going to be 100% honest with you about how I feel about it. I'm sure a lot of you share those viewpoints. And I think one of the reasons why I feel it's important to share those viewpoints with people who would be watching this or listening to this is that if you're listening to this as a podcast, and I really appreciate it, it doesn't really make any difference for you. I'm still going to be uploading to SoundCloud. I'm still going to be on iTunes, God willing, and you would be able to listen to me there, and that's not a big deal. But for those of you that like watching the video part, which I can't understand why, it may be a little bit of a, well, nothing's really going to change for either because I don't care. I'm not going to stop uploading. For those of you that don't know what's going on or asking the question, what's a YouTube? Most content creators, myself included, we look to platforms similar to YouTube to be able to help become the digital middleman for our ability to do stuff like this. Because stuff like this we enjoy doing all the time, and here comes along a platform like YouTube that says, hey, we're going to be able to help you not only do what you want to do easier, but maybe put a little bit of coin in your purse. It's going to be something that you're going to want to invest your time, your effort in hopes that their brand grows and they get better advertisers, and in turn you're making revenue and you're building an audience and you're building a brand. There's a lot of crazy stories that have come out of YouTube of people who have just skyrocketed into an insane amount of influence and wealth, and they were just nobody. They were nobodies, but somebody who sat down and decided they wanted to get in on the conversation that YouTube had. And I feel it's important that that way of thinking continues. Now, so on the give the benefit of the doubt to YouTube side. First off, I should say what their new guidelines are, which I'm sure most of you have heard: 4,000 hours within 12 months and 1,000 subscribers. Well, I remember the days when YouTube first started, and it was nowhere near anything like that. That was like you were the best in the world if you had that. But since then, obviously, it's changed. When I first started out on YouTube, way long ago, in the dark ages of YouTube in 2008, it was just you could only work with a 10-minute video, and if you made so many good 10-minute videos, you would then get the ability to have more than 10 minutes to your video. And then after that, you would get the opportunity to become a YouTube partner, but I didn't fully understand it back then, and I feel like it wasn't very user-friendly back then. So, I never monetized anything back then, and in a weird way, I wish I had, but I'm kind of glad I didn't anyway. And I'll explain that why later. And then it evolved to eventually, okay, yeah, you can monetize after so many videos. Okay, now you can have custom thumbnails. Okay, now you need 10,000 views on your channel, which on my personal at Celticorn channel, I have 56,000 views and 82 subscribers, who have been very patient with me because Honestly, my personal YouTube channel is taking a back seat to the Jackass Express, and I don't mind that as much. I like going where the creative energy is, and right now it's with Jackass Express, so here I am. Um, and now we've seen a lot of different things happen on YouTube. Um, Stuff that's been beaten to death, people who have done things on YouTube that have made it a less hospitable place for advertisers. So, in suit, and just like any other corporation, they are going to overcorrect the problem. And the reason they do that is not because they hate the small creators, and this is me playing devil's advocate just for a moment here, because believe me, I'll get to the other part. Just like any corporation, when you're in the media in a bad spotlight, you're on Twitter, and every other person's not only screaming at you for demonetizing their videos, but also for allowing another YouTube well-known to get away with something that none of the little guys would ever get away with. I mean, they'd get their channel banned. It just wouldn't be a conversation, and you'd never get your point across to YouTube. So this became a frustration for a lot of YouTubers, let alone the little guys who know this fact, that they would get destroyed if something like this happened to them. Then you have the new evolution now, the overcorrection, which is the 4,000 hours within 12 months, and the 1,000 subscribers, which, by the way, if you can meet our deadline of February 20th, which, by the way, we only got this notification a day ago, and it's now January 18th, so basically you got a month to get up to those quotas, people. Otherwise, they're going to not... This is what bothered me, too, is that they're going to take away your creator tools, your monetization tools. And maybe I read it wrong, maybe I'm incorrect, but those of us who enjoy making custom thumbnails, I mean, I don't think there's a reason why you couldn't leave that alone. It's not really affecting anybody, unless I'm severely ignorant to what's happening. It said something to the effect of preventing copycats and people who are just, basically trash YouTubers who get really messed up things on YouTube, and then they get a lot of views and they get the revenue off of it, or they copy videos off of other people's channels, and then they make it their own, and then it becomes monetized by them because they know the loopholes. So instead of taking a scalpel to the problem, they take a hatchet and they just cut off everything below. Well, naturally there's going to be backlash, and naturally there's going to be frustration, but I can understand where YouTube's coming from, where they're just like, look, this entire side, we look at the grand scope of all of our subscribers, of all of our creators and content creators. We have to look at this as a whole thing. It's kind of like a body. Okay, where's the problem? It's in this percentage. The percentage between this and this, with this many views, that's where the most problems and complaints are coming from. And then, yes, we have one star get into the media that everybody focuses on, and so now we blame him for the overcorrection, which, by the way, I don't agree with what this guy did, and I feel like, there should be more action taken on that part, but who am I? But they don't see the small things that happen, and anybody who's ever been on YouTube sees this, where the trash just get away with posting the worst things out there, and it's not creative, it's not inspired, it's not even there sometimes. Sometimes it's just garbage, and it's fine. Anybody can, it's your right to post whatever you want, but you do that now with the understanding that it's most likely not going to make you money. So it discourages people who are trying to do a YouTube channel for the wrong reasons, in my opinion. Who knows? I think I said day one of this podcast, I do this because it's almost therapeutic in a way, and it gives you that ability to have a platform to say this out into the ether. Even if no one ever watches it or listens to it, it does something internally when you're able to just get that out, and you're able to express your thoughts and your opinions and your views into the ether, and the ether either rejects it, accepts it, doesn't matter, but at least it's out now. It's not in your head anymore. And I think there's a lot of value in that, and that goes to a point that I'm going to make here in a little bit. But going back to the frustration with YouTube, I understand why they did it, and I see the corner that they've been put into. I see the rock in the hard place that they're in, and I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, oh my god, a multi-billion-dollar corporation between a rock and a hard place. Oh my god, those poor... No, I know, I get it. But try to think for a second here, what this means for their future, because they're not completely ignorant to what was going to happen. They know the fallout that's going to happen, and they're willing to take that risk because of how bad it is. And who knows? I mean, I don't feel bad for them. Is it a bad move for them? Yes. Will it affect them in a big way? Probably not. Probably not. Because if you probably deleted half of YouTube, you still have the other half, which is massive. So it's just not really going to make any difference. But my advice to anybody who's being affected by this, just like we are, the Jackass Express, my own personal channel is being affected by that. My only advice to you is, don't. It's not like the stock market. Don't jump into it. Don't jump out of it so quickly. Ride the wave for a little bit. See what's going to happen. Stay positive. Look for alternative forms of monetization out there, which there are plenty if you're willing to work for it. If you think about it, YouTube made it extraordinarily easy for you to make a quick buck off of a video of your cat jumping from couch to couch. I mean, that's great and all. And I'm not talking about the people who spent hours, especially the animators. Oh my God, the poor animators who have spent months working on something that maybe lasts for 15 minutes or 15 seconds. And now there's no chance for them being able to do that. But I still feel like if they build an audience and they make a substantial content, you still have an opportunity to do that. But I'm most likely not the person to listen to giving you advice on what to do now. That's more for like Casey Neistat, Sean Connell, and all these other people who are, I feel, or I choose to believe, have a genuine interest outside of their own, self-interest to help other people succeed despite all the handicaps that now we're being given. And one last note on that, I feel that this won't be the end of the handicaps, and this is what's going to lead into my next point here, is this is a real eye-opening opportunity for anybody who's a content creator on YouTube, especially for me. As I said earlier, I was here at the dark ages of it. I was here when you had 10 minutes to make a video, and that was it. And honestly, what I was doing was probably some of the dorkiest, dumbest things ever. I remember how scared I was to post my first YouTube video, I thought, oh my God, somebody's going to see this. Somebody that I know is going to see this, and they're going to tell everybody else about it, and then I'm going to look like the biggest dork. But it taught me, after that first video, it taught me, okay, you know what? Even if somebody does see this, it's not so bad. Who cares? That's why I'm putting stuff on here anyway. And for those that don't know, I made a silly little Halo machinima, which you can Google what that means because I feel silly explaining it. But it's still awesome, and I would still do it again. I probably still am going to do some more of that stuff, but that's another story. But you had 10 minutes to make an episode or make a show about anything you wanted, because you couldn't do like now where you can have like a 40-minute podcast or a 12-minute even show. You had to work within those 10 minutes. So it was perfect structure. It was almost like a challenge that worked to creators' advantage, because you had the small window to make something substantial in it, and you just did the best you could. And what was great about it is that you could watch what you've done, and after you cried yourself to sleep at how terrible it was, you learned how to do a little bit better the next time. And then you do a little bit better, and then you go and you watch other people's video, and you see how they made something work that you couldn't get to work, and then you get excited, and you go back and you do it again, and then you make the next thing, and you grow as a creator, and you grow as a content creator, and you learn other things that you enjoy, and you think, okay, maybe I want to do a live show where I'm a game show host, or maybe I'm a anchor for a news media that doesn't exist, and kind of like a Saturday Night Live sort of thing, but your own version of it, your own style of humor. And so you develop that, and then you realize, wow, hey, I enjoyed that. I don't know if anybody else did, but I did. So, okay, let's move on to the next thing. And then you meet a bunch of jackasses in 2010, and then you start another channel, and called the Jackass Express, of course. And you get even more daring, and you think, what about a bigger podcast? What about, okay, now I have more time. Oh, wow, this is how music works in videos. Okay, now we can't use that music anymore. Now I have to make my own music. So then you challenge yourself to go look out for music that would work. And so you learn a lot about music, and then maybe even make your own music. Even if it's not the greatest thing in the world, you still have to explore that possibility, because now you have to. So as people see constraints as a disadvantage, there is the opportunity to look at them as a positive thing, because now the slate's been washed clean, which is, for a artist or any creators out there, a blank canvas is the most it is the most addictive thing you will ever come across. It's like going into a house that has nothing ever, that's never been furnished, and now you have, $1 million gift card to bloody Target, or to, I don't know, Hobby Lobby or something, and now you have this blank canvas to do whatever you want with it. And that's what I saw in all these opportunities, all these challenges that YouTube had. And so I don't think it's a problem. And matter of fact, I think it's actually a very healthy wake-up call for people who are content creators to really decide, is this what you really want to be doing? Because a lot of people that I know and a lot of people that I watch, they do it they do it out of the love of the action itself. It's what they have to do in order to have peace of mind. It's like these people who nervously play video games all the time, which I play video games a lot, but I've seen people who all they ever do is play video games, and that's fine, because that's their creative outlet. That's their escape. And for creators, we have to create, and I don't know if I'm qualified to call myself one, but we have to find that outlet that just says, I have to do something and I have to share it with some other people just to see what would come of it. And if nothing else, I make it for me to see how that's going to affect the rest of, my peers, my circumference of reference, And I think it's awesome. It really still is an amazing thing. And again, back to YouTube, if you think about it, it's a platform that allows you to upload content with no charges for bandwidth. You can upload an unlimited amount of videos there. People can go see it. You can copy and paste a link to them. For a while there, they were paying you for almost nothing. And then now they're giving you an incentive to actually grow your brand. So anybody who's really serious about making a living off of YouTube, or even as a part-time thing off of YouTube, now has a new challenge to push themselves up to that point and do it. And every video that I've ever seen about trying to get subscribers, trying to get watch time, they all start with networking, right? So it's an opportunity to push yourself to reach out to other people, not begging them for a subscription, not begging them to watch your video, but to actually learn to enjoy other people's content. So many people go into YouTube and they just think they're the only person there, and suddenly they're going to be overnight success. The time of overnight successes, I believe, is over. Unless you have $1 million backing you, there's no more overnight successes. It's you going and appreciating other people's content and them wondering, well, hey, who was that? And then they go back and they check to see who you were, and then you build a relationship, and then through that you find more people and more people and more people, and eventually you get to where you want to be. But I understand there's people who don't work like that. A lot of people would prefer to just, do it themselves. I kind of do that. One of my I'm reluctant to say one of my heroes. No, I'm not reluctant to say it. He is one of my heroes. John Graham does an amazing job of doing a lone wolf thing where he just does everything by himself. And that's awesome. But, it's a formula that works for a certain type of mindset. And if you don't have that mindset, you're not gonna last very long in a culture that's based on connecting to each other. I mean, look at this. This thing that we have in our pockets, this phone, the phones that we have, it's designed specifically for you to be connected to the world. So the message the world is sending you is it wants to be connected. And the more you try to, be the lone wolf that people are going to discover and elevate you on your own, it's not really going to happen. It's you going into the noise floor, finding a bunch of other loud people, and you guys working together to build yourself back up. It's kind of a rule that applies to life if you think about it. I mean, you're not going to get very far unless you're willing to work with other people. And it's definitely a challenge. I mean, the Jackass Express, we're a collective of about 9+ guys so far. It started off as just 3 of the guys, and then started off as like 4. We had somebody, Brandon, joining us for a podcast, and then it was at 6. And then Brandon brought in Jeff and Sax, and now it's 9, and then now we have Brian, the bartender. which we've yet to have on a podcast, which we will have you on a podcast, Brian. It's unavoidable. It's inevitable. And it's because of the nature of what it is this is. It attracts people. And I think people who are afraid, who are afraid to work with other people, gradually your art form is probably going to evolve into something that's more akin to doing something private, or you're going to learn to want to work with other people. And I think it's important to experiment either way, see where you can build yourself from that. Now, working with other people, okay? I know that sounds intimidating, but it's possible because you've done it your whole life. You've had to, up to at this point, to some certain extent. And really, the most anybody is ever going to want from you is just to see that you're a real person and that you're not fake and that you're not trying to just pull one over on them and you're not trying to use them. I mean, how bad is it? I've gotten messages from other people before like, hey, man, you should come sub to my channel. And then I'm like, okay, hey, here's a friend. I'm going to go and I'm going to sub to them and then I'll comment on their stuff. And then you never hear from them again. And it's like, well, okay, so he just used me to get this thing. Who wants that? Create meaningful dialogue, actually talk to these people, and become aware of what they do and learn from each other. You wonder what's the value in having so many people in your circumference of, friends. You can learn anything from each other, even if it's what not to do, which is by far one of the most important lessons. So don't be afraid to work with other people. Don't be dismayed by that. I think there's a lot of potential. And I think that's the solution, is YouTube, what they're doing now is almost forcing people to work together, which you can do. Anybody can do. It's unfortunate what happened. It is unfortunate, but I think we've already covered that. I think YouTube has a lot of new blood taking over the management. I think the new blood has their eyes squarely on the bottom line and the influence that they have on their advertisers. And I feel like right now the hard reset that they're doing with everything is a great opportunity for creators to maybe get a little bit more brave with what you say, because you're not going to be monetized till you reach that 1,000 subscribers anyway. So be a little bit more, confident in what you're saying, and think about who you are as a person. Think of who you are as a creator. If you create because you want to create, then you got what you want. You don't need anything else. But if you're creating because you're trying to create for money, well, maybe there's a question in there that you need to ask, because it's great to be rewarded for your content, but if that's the sole reason you're doing anything, that's probably not a good thing. Because the second that money goes away, what have you got? You didn't get anything out of that experience, and you're going to think it's a big waste. But at least if you loved what you were doing, you cared about what you were doing, then you grew in some way. So, all right, one last thing I kind of wanted to talk about. It kind of goes back into the you concept, which is developing yourself as a personality in terms of relationships, other people's expectations of you, your expectations of other people. And it kind of can go back into the whole content creation thing, because why does anybody want to watch something that the Jackass Express produces? Is it because they like the name? Is it because it implies that we're imperfect human beings attempting to do something correctly and it just doesn't work out because we made a very critical error, a meaningful, deliberate, accidental effort to succeed, which blew up in our faces? That could be a reason. Is it because you have someone screaming in your face, "Hey guys, welcome my..." In some cases that works for people and it engages your audience and makes them feel welcome. I feel like everybody who watches this, you're welcome. I appreciate you watching this. I consider you a valued friend of mine, because why would you listen to a guy that you don't want to hang out with? I wouldn't want to listen to somebody that I don't listen to anybody in podcasts that I wouldn't want to personally hang out with in real life, And it also is a confirmation that you can see other people are being real. They don't have to be fake all the time. And the temptation to be fake is very real at the beginning. And I'll be honest with you, we were fake at the beginning because we didn't know how the game worked. We didn't know how it played out. But, again, now with the YouTube regulations, now it doesn't matter. You can be real. You can be who you are. And I think it works better than trying to be the person that everybody wants you to be so that you can make the money. You see what happens? The money forces you to be someone that you're not, so the people that like you for content that you're creating, it's content that you don't like. It's the content that you forced yourself to make so that you can make a living. So the only satisfaction you're getting out of that is money. Anyway, going in circles. When you have the mindset that if they took away YouTube, there was no monetization, there was no subscribers, there was just a place for you to put your content so that people could see it, and you just enjoy entertaining people with the hopes that you're making them laugh. That's how you know you're a creator. I would sign up for that website and I would stay with that website because that means a lot to me. I would love to make money, who wouldn't, but only if it meant I could fund the continued creations of the things that I care about, which is making content to make people laugh. And I feel like that's the Jackass Express mission statement, is make people laugh. So if at the end of the day we made you chuckle uncomfortably or positively, or even at how, I don't know, you just think we're weird, or even made you scratch your head, that adds value to what we do. That adds value to what the guys work with me for. It may not seem like it, but they are a source of a massive amount of inspiration. And every day that I talk to these guys, and I talk to them almost every day, they say the things that make me like, oh, I can't stand the word cringe. So it's more like they make me self-aware in ways that are very frustrating. They point out things about reality that make me question reality. And they do it so innocently. But our goal was always to take that experience and share it with an audience that may not have that group of friends, but does now, because now they have the Jackass Express. They have this group of friends that it falls into the realm of imperfect people accidentally doing positive things. And that's what I enjoy about it. But you as a person, I mean, what can you do to allow yourself to grow? In a way, now that this is the current medium, well, I suggest that you just be honest with yourself about what you like, post things that you like. There's a fine line between being indifferent and being overly caring about what other people think. And people, I've always been taught that you can never be completely indifferent, because then people will think you honestly are a jerk and you're just making stuff or whatever, but despite the obvious irony that you're making something. Or you can be over caring, and then you go into that YouTube category where it starts out with a big old flashy lights and someone's, what's going on YouTube? And they do that. And I understand that passion, and that's great. But then it can come across as fake if that's not genuinely who you are. And it can create a disingenuous experience, which can be also taken as very cringy. So, which is fine, I guess, if you enjoy that stuff. Ugh. My point is, once you have your own voice, you'll be satisfied with it. And people will agree with you, or people will disagree with you, and the people that agree with you are going to make up what you want to be your audience anyway. And that makes sense to me anyway. Let's go to the WeChat to see if there's any questions for the Pat Podcast. Well, Jeff had the first response, so I think I'm going to read his the first. And it simply says no. I'm going to go back to an older question that I was asked in an older podcast, which was why create, or why create anything, especially now, given this insanely demoralizing news that YouTube did. I believe my answer before was something to the effect of why not? Why not make something that didn't exist before? Why not express yourself out there in a therapeutic sort of way? And I still agree with those things. But now it means something a little bit different, because what other things in your life did you have to adapt to because you had no choice? We're very lucky that it's something as it's something as frivolous as YouTube. Whereas there's people who have lost their homes, they've lost their jobs, they've lost their ability to support themselves, they've lost their ability to walk, ability to see, hear. I mean, family members. Those are real devastating issues. And what do those people do? They just give up all hope and then they curl it? No, people are more resilient than we give them credit for. You are more resilient than you give yourself credit for. There is a strong drive in every single one of us if we choose to use it. Are you able to make that change immediately? No. It's like when you run into a door or you run into a ceiling. It hurts at first, but now you've learned I'm not going to go into that door anymore. Or you become aware that now you can't be walking around so carelessly. You grow from it. You adapt. But so many people are, one, incapable of adapting, and the only excuse for that is because they don't want to. Well, it worked this way all my whole life, and now I have to change. I don't want to do it. If you're going to do that, you might as well be dead. It goes into the same realm as not wanting to learn anything ever for the rest of your life. If you're unwilling to learn something new for the rest of your life, you might as well be dead. It's the truth. And I know a lot of people take comfort in what they do. I mean, aren't you grateful that your doctor isn't just satisfied with the current amount of information that they have? They have to attend seminars. They have to take classes. They have to, all this stuff that they would probably prefer not to do because they already spent their time getting their degrees. And now you have people telling them they still have to do continuing education. Aren't you happy lawyers have to do that sort of stuff and teachers still have to do that stuff? It's because they realize that if they stop progressing, you're going to be stuck in a moment in time. It's almost like if you could time travel and go back to, the 80s, it'd be like, wow, this is a great new experience, but there's such a limited amount of information that now you can get with the world because the expanded world hasn't received that new information yet. So you're stuck. You're stuck at a limit of new information as it's happening. And that would be the most depressing thing in the world, is to get to the point in your life where it's like, I'm never going to learn anything new, so therefore I'll never have a new perspective on things that I already have. Be willing to adapt. Be willing to grow. Even if it doesn't happen overnight, be willing to change, because that change is what's going to either enrich your life or solve the problem, or make you decide that what you're trying to do is probably not the best thing in the world and you're going to move on from that, which is probably for your best interest anyway. So, it's important to embrace changes and things like that, and most of all, not let them discourage you and pin you down in a corner. Most people, either they don't want to learn how to do the thing, or they want to just push through the problem with what they've learned forever. Instead of looking for the door, they just want to go through the brick wall. And it's like, no, stop. This door's not open anymore. This door's not open anymore. Let's go find a new one. And you can find a new one, but you have to be willing to take the time to do it, and you have to be willing to actually go through the door to do it. And it is possible. And eventually, you'll find out it's probably better for you anyway. Because, that's what life's all about, is adapting to change, which everyone is capable of doing. There's not a single person, not even a 96-year-old, has to be stuck with just being who they are. Now, Tip just simply asks why. Thank you, Tip. And why not? That's my only answer for that question. So anyway, thank you for watching this. I think we've gone way past my normal time. I usually try to keep these pretty short. Please visit our YouTube page. The irony! He just hated YouTube, but now he's saying go to YouTube. Well, yeah, because it's still a place that offers us places to put our stuff for free. And make sure you watch the new 9 a.m.s. We're very excited to do that. If you haven't seen our Christmas special, I really highly encourage you to see that. Very excited that got out. I think the guys enjoyed it. I've had 3 episodes since then, and it's been a lot of fun just making those things. Like I said, it's an opportunity to get out the insanity that's stuck inside your head. And then we have more of these podcasts going to become available. I'm probably going to be doing a lot more of the JE reports, which is essentially just a vlog of me being weird. And the guys are all contributing to those sorts of things. They help me get ideas, and they inspire me, like I said. And make sure you go to our Twitter at Jackass Express. Go to my personal Twitter if you want to talk to me personally at Celticorn, CelticCeltichorn. God, I can't spell my own Twitter handle. That's not a good sign. And also go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/JackassExpress. And if you're very invested, you can go to our JackassExpress.com. It's our blog where we post things all the time, and we have some major plans in store for that, which I'm excited to... well, I can't really say anything about it, but we are going to be doing some stuff with our website. And we also have a Redbubble, which if you'd like to help us out despite all this YouTube madness, it would be extremely helpful to go to our redbubble.com/JackassExpress. We have the logo T-shirt. It's you can get a discount. Wait for the days where there's a discount. Be following our Twitter, and wait for when we post there to be a Redbubble discount on T-shirts, and buy it then. Don't buy it right now. Wait till you see that discount code from Redbubble, then get it, and it's a much better price. If you want to, the best idea I can give anybody else out there that's trying to get to that 1,000 subscriber thing, go find content creators just like yourself, just like us, sub to us, sub to them, and then we can help each other out. It is possible. It's very possible. It's doable. But you have to actually work together, which is frustrating even for me. Okay, thank you for watching this, and we shall see you next time. Farewell!